Hey everyone, John here from TestPrepInsight.com, and today I'm going to be reviewing the Rocket Russian language program. I'm going to cover how the Rocket program is structured, what their learning method is all about, the pros and cons of this app, and of course, whether I think it's an effective program for learning Russian. And just as a heads up, since I'll just be covering the major highlights in this video and trying to keep things kind of short, if you find you need some more detail at any point, you can always check out our full detailed written review over on our website. An easy way to get there is just to Google Test Prep Insight Rocket Russian Review. That's a quick way to find it. Okay, so first up, let's talk about how the Rocket Russian program is organized and generally how it works. That way you can get a better feel for what to expect. So from a 10,000 foot view, there are 3 overarching levels within the program: beginner, intermediate, and advanced. And within each of these levels, there's about 8 modules to complete. Then, breaking it down further, there's usually several lessons that make up each module. And the key point to remember here is that there are 3 different types of lessons within the Rocket Russian program: audio lessons, language and culture lessons, and writing lessons. I'll talk about each lesson format in more detail when I get into the pros and cons sections, but for now, just know that the audio lessons focus on honing your listening and verbal skills. The writing lessons obviously just focus on your writing abilities. And finally, the language and culture lessons include detailed grammar instruction and cultural insights. So really, that's the Rocket Russian program in a nutshell. You've got 3 main levels, around 8 modules per level, and each module is comprised of several different types of lessons. All right, so now that you have that background, let's quickly cover pricing since that's always a big deal. So unlike other apps like Babbel and Rosetta, for example, which offer monthly subscription plans, Rocket only offers lifetime plans. You can purchase level 1 for around $60, levels 1 and 2 for $120, or all 3 levels for around $180. And it's important to note that the prices I just mentioned are the prices after applying standard discounts. And that's important because Rocket is almost always running some sort of sale or special promotion. In other words, don't pay attention to the full MSRP shown on the company's website. You will be able to save some money, so do make sure to look for promo codes before buying. In fact, I'll actually do my best to keep the description down below updated with the most current codes and coupons that I can find, so make sure to check out that text below the video screen if Rocket does end up being a good fit for you. I'm usually able to find codes that'll take 50 to 60% off MSRP. So taking a step back, it's obviously difficult to compare Rocket's pricing against other Russian language apps since they don't offer monthly plans. However, if you just look at the lifetime options, I'd say that the Rocket Russian program is actually a pretty good bargain at around $180. For comparison purposes, Babbel's lifetime plan costs around $350 and Pimsleur's costs north of $400. So all in all, I'd say that the Rocket Russian program is actually a pretty good deal, even though it might not seem like it on the surface. Okay, let's get to the good stuff, the pros and cons as I see them. And let's start with the positives. And the first one is definitely the company's audio lessons, which are really the heart and soul of the Rocket curriculum. Honestly, in my opinion, they blow the lessons from other popular language learning apps like Duolingo or Busuu out of the water. You start with a 20 to 30 minute audio exercise in which an English-speaking host guides you through a conversation between 2 fluent Russian speakers. The host will introduce the situation and provide some context, and then regularly pause the conversation to explain key points, discuss different grammar principles, and most importantly, ask you questions to ensure you're staying engaged and understand what's happening. Not only are you getting real-world exposure to fluent Russian speakers within the context of an actual conversation, as opposed to simply learning and repeating individual words without context, but you also get to actively participate yourself. It's about the closest thing you can get to a Russian tutoring session without having to pay an actual tutor. Basically, the audio lessons are definitely the highlight of the course, and quite frankly, it's what differentiates Rocket from most other language programs. And on that note, out of all the language apps that I've tested, I'd say that Rocket is probably one of, if not the best programs out there for auditory learners, considering that these audio exercises really form the foundation of the company's learning framework. So bottom line, if you process and synthesize information most effectively through listening as opposed to visual means, then the Rocket Russian program will likely be a perfect fit for your learning style. All right, so before we move off the subject, I'd also like to point out that because a good portion of the Rocket lesson programs are audio-based, it gives you options as to when, where, and how you want to complete your lessons. In other words, you don't always have to be sitting down and staring at your computer screen or iPhone. Instead, you can simply put in your headphones, turn on one of the audio lessons, slip your phone in your pocket, and make progress while you're doing chores around the house or walking the dog. It's just nice that Rocket doesn't dictate the circumstances in which you can learn, unlike most other apps. Okay, so following each audio lesson, you're then asked to complete a variety of what Rocket calls reinforcement drills, which are designed to get you working on your reading, writing, and pronunciation. Through these drills, you get the necessary practice to develop your expressive language skills. And specifically, I'd like to highlight Rocket's verbal reinforcement drills here because they're much more comprehensive and useful than what other language companies have to offer. For example, with Duolingo, when it comes to verbal practice, you're really just directed to listen to and repeat words, phrases, and sentences in a vacuum. There's no context or background. But with Rocket, that's not the case. After each audio lesson, Rocket gives you the opportunity to replay the conversation, but this time you step into the shoes of one of the fluent speakers. That way, you get the experience of using the language under pressure and within the setting of a real conversation, which ultimately is much more powerful and pragmatic than just simply repeating sentences with no frame of reference. And by the way, if you want to see some examples of the Rocket practice drills that I just covered, make sure to check out that full detailed written review that I mentioned earlier. I'll have it linked down below in the description for you. I have a bunch of screen grabs and more detail over there so you can get a better feel for what to expect. Okay, so next, I'd like to highlight Rocket's speech recognition technology. So, as you complete the simulated conversations that I just mentioned, or any of the company's other verbal practice drills, Rocket's speech software is listening and will grade your pronunciation on a scale from 1 to 100. It's pretty cool. I've tested dozens of speech recognition tools at this point, and I'd have to say that Rocket's is easily one of the best. It's easy to use, it's snappy, and in my experience, it's very accurate, which isn't a surprise considering that it's powered by Google's Web Speech API, which a lot of language experts consider to be one of the most robust speech tools in the world. So overall, I have to give Rocket 2 big thumbs up in this category. All right, so last up here is Rocket's coverage of grammar. While most other language learning companies simply provide learners conjugation charts with no real explanations, Rocket takes grammar instruction very seriously and even offers dedicated grammar lessons. Not only is the commentary in these lessons detailed and helpful, but Rocket also includes interactive drills throughout the grammar lessons to make sure you're grasping the concepts at hand. For me, as someone who likes plain English explanations of grammar principles, these were really useful. Okay, so now let's switch sides to the things that I don't necessarily like about Rocket Russian. But before I hit you with that, I should just mention that every single month here at Test Prep Insight, we actually give away a free language learning course to one lucky person. I'll put all the details down below in the description on how to get entered, but just know it takes like less than 10 seconds and hey, you never know, you could win a totally free lifetime pass for Rocket Russian. All right, so negative number 1 with this program is that the Rocket lessons are long. There's just no getting around it. The audio exercises take anywhere from 20 to 30 minutes to complete, and then the subsequent reinforcement drills take another 30 minutes or so. So all in all, you're looking at around 50 to 60 minutes to complete one lesson, and that doesn't even include the dedicated grammar lessons. So bottom line, if you're short on time and can only dedicate 5 to 10 minutes per day towards learning Russian, then maybe a program like Babbel would be a better fit with their 10-minute lesson format. Okay, so next up, as you've probably gathered by this point, Rocket is not the most ideal choice for visual learners. There's no video component to this course, and even the use of images and graphics is extremely limited. So if you tend to absorb information best through visuals, then maybe the Russian program from LingoPie or Rosetta Stone would be a better fit here. And lastly, I just wish Rocket offered some sort of live class component, even if it cost an additional fee, sort of like what Rosetta Stone or Babbel offer. I think live classes can be extremely beneficial, especially once you reach an intermediate level of fluency. They're just a great way to practice your verbal skills with peers and learn from experienced teachers. So it would be nice to see Rocket add this optional feature for more advanced learners. But anyway, that about does it for the detail in this review. So let's get to my final verdict. Should you choose Rocket to learn Russian? Well, to be clear, this program is not a fun little app like Duolingo. It's a very detailed, comprehensive course, so if you're just looking to learn a few phrases here and there to better communicate with your in-laws, then there might be better choices out there for you. But with that said, if you're serious about learning Russian, then the answer is absolutely yes. I do think it is worth it. This is easily one of the most effective and well-rounded Russian programs on the market in my opinion. It offers everything you need. Thorough audio exercises that feature fluent Russian speakers, practical speaking exercises, accurate speech software, helpful grammar instruction, cultural nuggets, you name it. I was just really impressed. Plus, it doesn't hurt that the company's lifetime subscription packages are more affordable than most competitors. But anyway, that's all I've got for you. I hope this video has been helpful and you learned a little something about the Rocket Russian program. If so, make sure to return the favor by subscribing to our channel, liking this video, and drop me a quick comment below. That would be really appreciated. And again, if you want to see that full detailed written review that I mentioned earlier in this video, just hop on over to our website. Again, that's testprepinsight.com, or you can check out the other videos we have on our YouTube channel. We've got a bunch of great content out there. But as always, thanks for watching, best of luck, and I'll see you in the next one.